last time you saw me, I was probably up here as the Chief Commercial Officer of Gojek. So I'm no longer at Gojek. I left Gojek in 2023, and I'm now at CalvinBall. So yeah, a very big shift, but very relevant, you'll see, because when I was at Gojek the last 2 years, at Gojek I actually managed the product for everything that's advertising related. So all the ad tech, market tech, promo tech of Gojek was what I was responsible for, in addition to all the sales and the partnerships. So super happy to be back. And we're going to talk a little bit today about agents, actually. What are AI agents? And try and explain a little bit what they are, because there's a massive, massive revolution going on today. We heard a little bit about it in the session before with Google, Nestle, which was very interesting. And we'll try and dig a little bit deeper, because the opportunities are massive and the risks, especially to large CPGs, are very high if agents are not adopted. So let's talk about it. Okay, so introduction. So I took some notes because I'm not an expert yet. I want to make sure that I'm as clear as possible. Basically, the way to think of our agents are the applications that sit on top of the LLMs. So when you hear about ChatGPT, you hear about Gemini, you hear about Mistral, you hear about Llama, you hear about Perplexity, but fundamentally, you need to be able to have something that sits on top of those to actually help you work, right? So they're the apps that sit on top that really help solve real world problems. And if you read a little bit about Gen AI, recently you've heard, who's heard of Jensen Huang? Raise your hand if you've heard of Jensen Huang. I don't hear that many hands. Okay, Jensen Huang is one of the most influential people in AI today, because he's the CEO of NVIDIA, right? And NVIDIA is a $3 trillion company that makes chips for AI. So Jensen Huang actually just, I think late last year, for the first time late last year, talked about agents. And he talked about agents in the following way. He basically said, AI agents are not a trend, they're the future and they're here now. That's the first thing that he said. The second thing that he said is that it will affect about 70% of all white-collar jobs, right? So AI agents will not automatically replace, but anybody who has an office job today will be impacted by agents very quickly. He said that it was a $7 to $10 trillion opportunity and value creation in the next 10 years, right? So you're talking about the fastest creation of wealth, full stop, ever, right? In 10 years. And the key messages are traditional jobs will evolve. Small businesses, individuals will compete with industry giants, right? Because you have access to technology and data very, very quickly. And AI agents will be everywhere, in every device, every room, and in every workflow, okay? So that's a little bit what an agent is. To give you an illustration, what is an agent? It can be like a customer service bot, a super, super smart customer relationship and customer service bot is an agent, right? We have the old ones which were programmed and followed certain questions, yes, no, but in the end, you have to still talk to a customer service representative. Whenever I call my bank, almost every time I end up talking to a person, right? But the AI agent now today actually can solve most of your problems. Now today we're also going to talk about a super agent. A super agent, what Gurnoor is going to talk about because he's the expert. A super agent is actually one step above. A super agent is vertical and industry specific, right? And it's something that has been trained by experts, by human beings, right? So it's a highly trained agent that is really there to try and help the people who are doing those different tasks, right? And we'll talk about it. So there is a company, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's a company called Khan, the Khan Academy. The Khan Academy is probably one of the best tutoring and educational companies in the world, full stop. They're American. And about a year and a half ago, I heard the founder talking about his agent. And what is the agent for Khan? The Khan Academy agent, which is actually a super agent, is a tutor. It's a real-life AI tutor for every child. So the Khan Academy's dream, their vision, is for every child to have an AI with which they can converse, that they can talk, that helps them focus on the things that they're not good at, that helps them celebrate the things that they are good at, and really helps a child learn a lot faster, do it in the way that is good for the child, and adapts to the child. Well, that's a little bit what Gurnoor is going to talk about, because today, for the last 2 years, what CalvinBall has really talked about is developing an expert marketing tutor or helper for marketers, right? And so for the last 2 years, CalvinBall has trained AI on data with over 100 expert marketers. So you need human beings to train that, to actually train a super tutor, super marketing helper for consumer packaged goods and anybody who basically does marketing. The way that you could think about it is having the Michael Jordan or Zinedine Zidane of marketing helping you every day, basically. So I think we can go into the rest, but I think fundamentally just a little bit about the brands, right? Gurnoor and I worked together because Gurnoor was the CEO of Gotoko. So Gurnoor is a marketing and CPG experts, and the co-founders, Gurnoor and Sandeep, who was at YouTube for many years, basically pitched this, and I didn't really know whether it was going to work, and so I actually talked about it to a company locally, right? And the interest was staggering, and the sale was staggering because CalvinBall is not out yet. We're still in stealth mode, right? So we're doing our coming out in 1 or 2 months. But that's the first thing that I did. Then I talked to a couple of friends. I talked to Darnesh Gordon, who's the ex-country head of Nestle in Indonesia, and he was stunned also, so he's part of our advisory board, Darnesh. We talked about it to Sanjeev Mehta, right? The ex-CEO of Unilever Hindustan, who's on the board of Danone and on Unilever Indonesia, also an advisor now. He was immediately convinced. And the ex-head of MD for Bacardi South America, right? And we're so convinced about how powerful this is that we call ourselves evangelists, actually. We don't even call ourselves anything advisors. And we just started selling literally just last year, and already it's doing super well because it helps and it adds value. So with that, I am going to let Gurnoor take the lead because I'm not the expert.
Thank you, Antoine, for that. And again, thank you MMA for having us. It's a pleasure to be here, and also to tell you this is the first time we're doing a public forum. We are still in stealth mode, so very excited to be here. If I can have the next slide, please. And this is where I think what I want to take a step back. Why does CalvinBall exist? You just heard from Google Gemini. You just heard from many thousands of people talking about LLMs and genetic. Why do we exist? We exist because we believe that the iPhone moment of Gen AI has not happened. And if you go back to 2008, Steve Jobs came up on stage and said, you know what, smartphones exist, but they suck. And that's exactly what we are also saying, that there are a lot of AI, there's prompt engineering, there is 1,000 things you can do, but it's not tailored to you. And that's what agents are going to solve. Just to make this interesting, can anyone guess what is the picture on the left? It's a very iconic image. Anyone? Just raise your hand and we'll explain it, if anybody can. Anyone? No? Okay. So, I think one of the things we want to do in this session, and it's talking about how can you implement your brand marketing strategy using AI. I want to go down and completely remove the jargon and focus on what to expect, right? This image on your left is a very iconic image of Henry Ford, the guy who built automobiles as we know it. He's going to his customers and saying, hey, what do you think is the future of going fast? You know what people told him? They want faster horses. They could not even imagine that you could have automobiles in cars, right? The second spectrum, if you talk about AI, and there are a lot of people talking about that AI will change the world, is a robotic Ultron. If you're Marvel fans, you would know, who is a supercomputer who can take your money, who can kill machines, who can do anything. We are not there yet. Let's be very clear. AI is just starting, and for you, all of you here in the room, what to expect from AI is somewhere in the middle. It is not incremental. Can I just optimize? As we had the previous session on just do a bit of automation. It's beyond that. But can it do magic like Harry Potter? That's also not there, right? So please get your expectations right, and that's how, where we believe you need specialized, vertical, human-like agents to take out the most boring and drudgery aspects of your work is going to what is going to happen in the next 2 years. Can I have the next one, please? Previous one, yeah. Okay, so now I'm just going to, again, it's after lunch, we had coffee, we had many sessions. I'm going to talk about, we are CalvinBall. If you have not guessed it by now, we are inspired by Calvin and Hobbes. So instead of talking about LLMs and agents, I'm going to talk to you in a language which happens every day. And I'm going to talk about 4 problems which are the highest number of anecdotes we've heard from the world's best marketeers over and over again. So what is the question you need to ask? What slows you down? Especially things like Ramadan, as Fabian from L'Oreal was saying that, hey, fail fast. But if you don't know what to fail, how will you pivot, right? So the first point, and if you are in this room, if you've done marketing, you have a boss who's come and told you, what happened to my brand, why? And what is happening here? All of you are opening Excel sheets from Kantar, from Nielsen, going to a media agency of IMRB panel, and doing what we call a data analysis black hole, and ultimately you don't have the answer. You get information, but not answers. Now, the other thing which happens after that, okay, I have this information or answers, but what do I do next? And that's the anecdote on your number 2, which is, you have a bunch of reports and Excel sheets telling you, hey, I have SQ level, physical level, campaign level, geography level, cuts. Okay, but what's the insight? And that's the current problem, which is perennial for marketing, that the cycle from data to insight and insight to action is so long that by the time you are executing Ramadan is over. And that's exactly what all of us need to understand that AI can solve for. Can you have the next one, please? Again, I know there are a lot of media people here, so please don't kill me, but this is an anecdote from another brand. This is a real story, where I'm sure all of you heard of GCC, Global Capability Centers, which everyone started investing in 2013 and 15. I was Unilever, I know we spent a lot of money without ROI. The idea was you will centralize all media tools, right? But what did you do? You trained one person. Now what happens if you want to launch a $2 million campaign and your campaign is split across Google, Facebook, and other channels, like let's assume Trade Desk, and you want one single software to tell you the reports instantaneously. That tool doesn't exist. Media has certain tools where you have to download them manually and convert them into pivot tables. This is a real story where a $2.8 million campaign got shut down because the only one person who was trained to understand that product was on sick leave. And the entire organization from the CEO to CMO were praying. That is the level of, I would say, information constraint, which today you can't have those problems solved. That is where AI can come in. The last example I want to give is, again, sorry agencies and people in this space, we have something in product called product negative network effect, which is, I don't like to make my product easy to use with other products. For example, if you're working with a group and media software, or if Himanshu is here, he will tell me later, it's very difficult to work with a PhD product. Why? Because we know as product people, we can hold you on the negative effect. What happens to actual brand managers is that it takes them about 3 months to actually understand a holistic picture. Your workflows are broken. Your time it takes for you to do actual optimization of the campaign, you're not able to do it fast enough. And why should it take 3 months? Why can't it take 60 seconds? These are the 4 problems which we wanted to solve. And if you go to the next slide, I don't have a product demo here because it's still in stealth mode, as Antoine said, but hopefully in a month we'll be out in public. But what I wanted to share was that I'm not selling something which is a pipe dream. As my colleague from Google said that we should do it now, we actually have case studies which have been proven. Now this is something all of you will be very, very close to your heart, especially in Ramadan, where you start planning a media campaign for Ramadan easily 4 to 5 months. Am I wrong? Please correct me if I'm wrong, right? And the process in it, what do you do first? Every company, at least a large company, has an algorithm on reach logic, right? And then you start building your media budgets, spending about 100 people doing Excel sheets and saying, okay, this is my problem, this is my target, these are the campaigns I want to build, these are the things I want to do, these are the agencies I want to talk to, blah, 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 blah. Today is taking about 4 to 5 months. Now, we took one such example, I can't take the name of the company, where we said, you know what, our super agent will do the entire job for you. And that's exactly what we did. What did the super agent do? It took your AOP, as you call it, annual operating plan, converted into a media brief. That media brief got contained into a campaign context. That campaign context was converted into a channel level business case. That channel level business case was implemented as a budget. And then on top of it, it was published directly to the platforms in 3 days. Not 4 months, 3 days, right? Number 2, now, as Mr. Fabi said very clearly, fail fast. Today, it takes you about a month to get what is happening to your campaigns because you're collating data from different platforms, and if you're doing anything in offline, forget about it, right? You're not getting any information or data in the next 20-25 days. What if you build an agent who's a superhuman, who's doing all of this and getting you the ability to optimize real time? And that's the phase 2 which we implemented immediately. That 7 of the campaigns are performing really well, 3 were not, and they were able to optimize real time without a single human intervention. And this entire cycle was completed in 15 days. And the results speak for themselves, and that's why there's a lot of green on our map, because we had actually done this case study and taken over the entire campaign period. Next, if you go to the next case study. Now I think Antoine talked about what agents could be. And if I wanted to imagine, can a super agent, actually let me ask a question, can it run your business fully online? If you are a D2C or direct-to-consumer brand, or in your case, if you are a marketer here, if you are online channels, which could be an e-commerce, which could be on social media, can a super agent run it fully automatically? And the answer is yes. And that's what the second case study talks about, that today, if you understand e-commerce, lot of dependencies on data on platforms like Shopify and other stuff which you're using, which is holding a lot of your CRM data. But you're not able to convert it into business actions at a speed which is necessary for you to execute your global business. So we work with a US-based brand because our business HQ is New York actually. I won't take the name, but again in a month you will know which one it is. In which we ran the entire brand with our agent for a month. And what were we doing? What happened to my sales and why? 15 seconds. Why did it change from New York to Houston? Is there a pattern I can identify? Is it competitive action or is it my mistake from a 6P analysis, advanced analytics models? All of it is in there. And immediately you say, okay, what do I do next? That's one of the big pain points today in e-commerce because people with 30 years of experience in offline don't know how to do online. But what if you had real, clear frameworks built by the world's best marketer telling you what is the right thing to do in the next step? Or at an organization level, this is your SOP to execute the right way. Let's say the CMO itself is looking at everything. That's exactly what we implemented. The CMO came and said, change this. And that again change is happening in one interface. There is no API, there is no prompt, there is no learning new things. It is just talking in the language of what you do today, like you're doing to a human, so that you cannot worry about what's happening in the back end, but focus on what you want to do in your job. The last case study, And I think I wanted to pick 3 case studies for this audience because I'm going to give you a full brief about, let's say, if you want to do a grand level strategy like a media campaign for a Ramadan, or you want to do a specific online specific strategy on channels. But the last one, which is specific, I would say for holiday seasons, especially Ramadan, is your store level or a customer level promotion, which today, again, is broken. If you want to do a store level or a customer level, like what Antoine wants is very different from what Shanti would want, right? It takes so long and it takes absolutely inefficient programs which are not getting into that information. Can you quantify that data and get that insights and execution in one space? And the answer is yes. And that's a case study we did one of the big alcohol brands in the world, in which they have 3,000 stores which they want to do 100 promotions per store every quarter. And that process today will take 9 months, we did it in 60 seconds. Is the same process where it is linear, clear understanding, advanced analytics, and trained for that particular specialized agency, right? I don't have a demo yet, but I think I'll take a couple of minutes and then say that why is this relevant for you? Imagine if we gave you a time machine and you went back to 2008. And then everybody was saying, digital is going to be this. But how does offline understand? Oh, this is the problem. Where are we now? The largest wealth creation in terms of quantum leaps has happened in the last 10 years. Today we talk about Instagram. Instagram was not even born in 2012. So all those things of AI and iPhone movement, as we call it, is still yet to happen. CalvinBall, and I want to link it back to our purpose, is doing that. And again, I just want to make sure that this session is informative for you. We're not doing the hard sell here. We are simply saying, please go back and focus on your work and say, what is relevant to me? What is my specialization? Is it human judgment? Is it human story? Is it about what makes me unique as a brand? What makes me unique as a business? Leave the rest to the machines. And again, I'll quote Calvin and Hobbes because, of course, that's our brand now fully. Calvin Hobbes again has a line that the way the pace of technology is going, we should leave the maths to the technology and go play outside. And that's exactly what we should all be doing, be it in brand marketing, be it in agencies, be it in analytics. Take out the drudgery. Please burn all Excel sheets and pivot tables. You don't need them anymore. You need to ask the right questions. You need to ask what is the next action and what is the best way to execute that action. And that's why our tagline at CalvinBall Tech is faster, leaner, better. Can we make you faster in the data-driven science process? And again, we are not claiming or preaching to do that you know how to do your job. You do your job far better than we could do, or any platform could do. But can you do it faster? Can you do it leaner? And I think Antoine's already mentioned it. Drudgery and outsourced white-collar jobs are going to vanish. And if people are telling you it's not going to happen, they are lying to you. So the question that you need to figure out, that are you going to embark upon these strategies to win, or you're just going to focus on how do you survive? And the last part is better. Every single case study I mentioned to you is about business outcomes. We are not talking about product, we're not talking about, hey, I implemented Copilot for my organization. Okay, so what? What changed? And those are the questions you need to ask as a business outcome perspective. What is core to you? What should not be? And this is really, really important to the session we started of Innovate, Integrate, and Get Inspired. And for me, and for all of us at CalvinBall, all our evangelists, all our board people, we are here to say that please don't waste your time doing drudgery. Do what makes you excited about what you want to do at work. Talk to your consumers. Spend more time with them and win with them. And that's the last part I would want to leave it with you. Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you.